You're suspended. That's what they told 15-year-old Eli Carter after he shoved a classmate in the cafeteria. No one asked why. No one watched the full video. Just the push. Just the punishment. What they didn't see was the food thrown at the janitor, the laughter, the shove that came before. And what the school really didn't expect was the mayor showing up 2 days later, unannounced. Not to shake hands, not for a photo op, but to defend the janitor they humiliated. And the boy who stood up when no one else would. Eli Carter wasn't the loud kid, not the athlete, not the class clown, not the straight-A overachiever either. Just Eli, 15, soft-spoken, Saturday in the back of most classrooms, always turned in homework on time, ate lunch alone, kept his hoodie up when things got loud. He wasn't invisible, just easy to overlook, but he noticed everything, especially Mr. Dawson. The janitor was in his 60s, walked with a slight limp, always had his sleeves rolled up and a small smile that never quite reached his eyes. Most kids saw him as background noise, someone who mopped up messes, nodded silently, and disappeared by the time the bell rang. But Eli saw more. He noticed how Mr. Dawson stacked the trash bins perfectly so they wouldn't spill, how he took extra care cleaning the special ed classroom when no one asked, how he never complained, not even when kids knocked over trays and laughed like he wasn't even human. Sometimes, Eli would stay after school and help carry out the trash. No one told him to. He just did. Over time, Mr. Dawson started talking. Not much, just enough. About his favorite jazz records, a dog he used to have, how silence was sometimes louder than noise. To Eli, Mr. Dawson wasn't a janitor. He was the only adult in the building who didn't look at him like a problem to be solved. And that's why, when the cafeteria erupted and Mr. Dawson became the target, Eli didn't think. He moved. It was just another Tuesday. The cafeteria buzzed with noise sneakers squeaking, trays clattering, voices bouncing off walls like pinballs. Eli sat alone at the end of a long table, picking at his sandwich, hoodie up, earbuds in. But one earbud was always off, not because he liked the noise, but because he knew how fast it could shift. At the center table sat Jake Mather's quarterback, influencer, school royalty, surrounded by the usual orbit of loud laughs and louder egos. That's when Mr. Dawson entered, same as every lunch, quiet, focused, just there to change a full trash liner. But this time, he accidentally bumped Jake's chair. Didn't knock it over, just a slight bump. Jake made a scene. "Yo, watch it, janitor." A few chuckles. Mr. Dawson apologized softly and kept walking. But Jake wasn't done. He grabbed a half-eaten tray of mashed potatoes, stood up and chucked it. It hit Mr. Dawson square in the back. The whole cafeteria howled. Mr. Dawson froze, stiffened, but didn't turn around. He just started walking faster toward the bins, shoulders tight, like he was holding something in. That's when Eli stood up. Fast. He didn't yell. He didn't hesitate. He walked straight toward Jake. Jake turned, smirking, already holding up his phone like he wanted to film Eli's reaction. "Chill, bro. It's just a janitor. He gets paid to clean." And that's when Eli shoved him. Hard. Jake stumbled backward, tripped over his gym bag, and hit the floor hard enough for everyone to gasp. Right then, as if fate had terrible timing, someone hit record. The video caught one thing only: Eli Carter shoving the star quarterback to the ground. By 3:15 p.m., the video had hit the school's group chat. By 3:30, it was on Instagram with the caption, "Kid flips out and slams Jake. No chill, eh?" The full story? Nowhere to be found. By the time Eli and his mom were called into the office the next morning, judgment had already been passed. Principal Wallace sat behind his desk, arms folded like a prosecutor. "Eli, we have a strict zero-tolerance policy for violence on school grounds," he began, tone flat and rehearsed. Eli tried to explain. "He threw food at Mr. Dawson. He shoved him. I was just..." Wallace cut him off. "We've reviewed the footage. and all we see is you physically assaulting another student. But that's because no one filmed what came before. We don't make exceptions. Eli's mom, a nurse who had taken off work and was clearly worn thin, stepped in. There were dozens of witnesses. Why not ask them? Wallace didn't budge. Jake's father is a member of the school development board. This situation is already drawing attention. We need to act quickly to show we're not playing favorites. The irony echoed. Mr. Dawson even came to the office, quiet, nervous. He said, "If you need someone to back the kid up, I'll write a statement." I saw the whole thing. Wallace didn't even look at him. "That won't be necessary, Mr. Dawson. Please return to your duties." Eli was suspended for 3 days. As he walked out, suspension letter in hand, he passed a cluster of students whispering, laughing, pointing. Someone muttered, "That's what happens when you act like a hero in the wrong zip code." Mr. Dawson caught up with him in the parking lot. He didn't say much, just clapped a hand on Eli's shoulder and said, "Sometimes doing the right thing gets you bruised first, but it doesn't make it wrong." Part 4. The Mayor's Connection. 2 days into Eli's suspension, the house phone rang. Not a number they recognized, not a robocall, not a school official. The mayor's office. At first, Eli's mom thought it was a prank, but the voice on the line was calm official asking for Eli by name. "We'd like to speak with you about what happened at Millridge High." An hour later, a black SUV pulled up to their modest apartment. Out stepped Mayor Ben Arnett in person. He didn't bring cameras or reporters, just a folded envelope and recognition in his eyes when he saw Eli. "You stood up for Mr. Dawson," he said. "I served under him in Vietnam." Eli blinked. "Wait, what?" The mayor nodded. "You know him as a janitor?" "I knew him as Sergeant First Class William Dawson. He saved 13 of us when we were surrounded in 72. Took shrapnel in the leg and never said a word about it. Never asked for medals. Never asked for anything." He looked away for a moment, not for drama, but to gather himself. "When I saw that video, I got angry. When I heard what really happened, I got in the car." He handed Eli the envelope. Inside was a formal invitation to a school assembly the next day. "You're not in trouble," the mayor said. "You're about to be recognized." Friday morning, Millridge High buzzed, but not with rumors this time. A school-wide assembly had been called. "Mayor's visit," the announcement said. "Mandatory, full auditorium, no phones." Students filed in, whispering guesses. Jake sat with his usual crew, smug and confident. Principal Wallace smoothed his tie 3 times. Mr. Dawson stood by the back wall, mop in hand, like he didn't belong in his own life. Then the doors opened. Mayor Ben Arnett walked in, followed by 2 Marines in dress blues. He didn't waste time. Walked straight to the podium, looked out over the crowd, and said, "I'm not here to talk about politics. I'm here because your school punished a kid for doing something most adults wouldn't have had the courage to do." The room stilled. You all know William Dawson as the janitor. What you don't know is that he served this country for 20 years. Silver Star, Bronze Star, combat medic in Vietnam. He dragged 13 wounded men out of enemy fire. One of them was me. Gasps. Jake slouched in his seat. Wallace froze. When he came home, he didn't ask for special treatment. He just wanted a quiet life. And when a student humiliated him in front of this entire school, he said nothing. He turned toward Eli, standing at the edge of the crowd. "But one of you didn't stay silent." Eli's name was called. He stepped forward. Mayor Arnett removed a challenge coin from his pocket, the kind given only in the highest military circles, and placed it in Eli's hand. For courage, for integrity, for standing between cruelty and decency. The auditorium erupted in a standing ovation. Mr. Dawson was called on stage next. For the first time in years, he stood tall. No mop, just quiet pride. Part 6. Resolution and Epilogue. Eli's suspension, immediately revoked. Principal Wallace, silently reassigned at the end of the school year. Jake, transferred 2 weeks later. Family moved, they said. No one bought it. But Mr. Dawson stayed, not just as the janitor, but now as someone the school knew, someone the community respected. He didn't like attention, but every student nodded to him in the halls now. And no one ever dropped a tray without picking it up themselves. A month later, the school installed a small plaque outside the cafeteria. To those who serve with brooms or with boots, we see you now. Eli didn't become popular. He didn't want to be. But he walked a little taller. And one afternoon, long after the halls had emptied, Mr. Dawson sat with him under the bleachers, the same spot they used to talk before all this happened. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out an old, scratched-up military coin, the kind that had been to hell and back. "You earned something bigger than a thank you," he said. "You reminded me that decency's still out there, even when it's young, scared, and wearing a hoodie." He handed it to Eli. "You stood up when no one else would. Don't ever stop."